Hey everybody, Eric, Gearhead Daily. Not a video I thought I'd be making today. I had some other things that I was kind of planning on doing, tool related and other car stuff that kind of goes with the channel. But uh, bad news is Rob Rabbit Pitts is no longer with us, and I was lucky enough to get to know him fairly well. Um, and I thought I would tell you one final Rob story, and it is kind of quintessentially Rob. I have not been able to talk about this story because him and I had signed an NDA that we were not able to talk about at all. And I thought, well, if there's ever a time to tell the story, here it is. And I was lucky enough to get to know him. He did a short little podcast with me that's on YouTube. I'll put a link down below where I got to learn where his name came from. And, I was one of those lucky few people who kind of met through VinWiki, through Ed and a couple of the other people who have always been, really good to me. So it was a cool experience. I got to know Rob through VinWiki, and we shared some conversations and had a great time, and it was cool. So I'll just tell you one final Rob Pitts story. Not super funny or super poignant or anything. It's just a good story that nobody knows about, and maybe me and like two other people know about it. So I thought I would share it with you because it's gonna be how I remember him in the end. So in the beginning, I met Rob through VinWiki. We kind of were in this little band of misfit people who had gone on the show and done a couple stories and had a good laughs and got some good responses, and just kind of enjoyed the camaraderie with each other. And I would always kind of troll him just a little bit in the comment section when one of his videos would come up. I knew it was him, and I'd kind of give him a little jab a little bit in the comment section, and he would respond, and we'd go back and forth. He knew who I was. He figured out who I was pretty quickly, and then we started talking to each other offline. And realized that he's got a really really wicked sense of humor. He's got a million one-liners and 1,000 kind of idioms and little jokes that some of them I had never heard before, and were solid stuff. So we became friends. We talked a little bit offline. We talked, about YouTube and the business side of things, and him selling cars, and kind of what his motivation was. And again, I highly recommend going to that podcast that we did. It was really really cool. That he spent the time with me because he was really, really busy at that time putting his business together. And the fact that he was able to give me an hour was really solid of him to do. He didn't have to do that at all. So he was, he was just a nice guy. He was just nice all around, and he liked having fun, and he was kind of joking around. And so again, we met through Ed, through VinWiki, and Ed and them were friends. And unfortunately, I wasn't on the short list of friends to be in the know about it, unfortunately, until yesterday. And the news kind of hit me pretty hard because Rob and I are pretty close to the same age. He was born in '79. I was born in '80. And he was really cool. He's always really cool with me. We would text back and forth, talk about certain things, and he would kind of tell me what's coming up in his life. He's like, Eric, you can't tell me, can't talk about this, but here's what's gonna happen. And then he would tell me something, and it was always something cool. He was always kind of doing life to the fullest, and every opportunity he would come with, he would just kind of take it and run with it, and it was always amazing. So he lived a life that a lot of us kind of aspired to. So it was cool to watch, and see that kind of grow for him. And his YouTube channel exploded, and then his TV show on Netflix exploded. But here's the story that I think is kind of fun. So it starts off with an Instagram message that I got from somebody, and this person wrote to me and said, "Hey, we saw some of your videos. We don't know how to get in contact with you, but we found your Instagram page. Here's an Instagram note. Are you interested in doing a TV show?" Okay. Instantly I thought it was spam. I thought it was junk, and I was just like, okay, something about this feels a little weird because the profile picture was of a attractive woman, and I'm like, something just feels way off about this. And I said to myself, I'm gonna just forget about this. And a day or two goes by, and I'm thinking, maybe there is something to this. And so I actually investigated the person, and it turns out it's a real person. They actually do have a filming studio. They have a LinkedIn page, the whole nine yards. So I was like, all right. So I wrote back. I'm like, okay, what about? And they wanted to do an automotive show. They had seen some of my YouTube videos. They'd seen some of my VinWiki, and they thought I was, relatively funny, which is good because most people follow that up with, looking. So, but that's another story for another day. And I started talking to this woman. It turned out it was real. We had some conversations. She was nice, and she said, "Well, I want to introduce you to kind of the producer and kind of see if you're fit for the show. To your kind of sense of humor might kind of fit with this." And I was like, "Oh, okay, that sounds pretty good." And we get through the thing, and we kind of do some interviews. And the premise of the show was to go out and look at cars, and find some rare cars, and have some just have a fun little show. And then they said, well, we're going to pitch this to a studio. We're going to pitch this to Netflix. And we really want to get, two hosts, play off each other a little bit. I'm like, okay, do you want me to find somebody? And they're like, no, we got somebody. They're like, do you know a guy named Rob? I said, I know a lot of Robs. They go, do you know Rob Pitts? I said, do I know Rob Pitts? Yeah, I know Rob Pitts. Yeah, this guy's hilarious. I love that guy. And we got some chemistry. And we got together. We had a couple interviews actually with the producer, and then they actually recorded Rob and I going back and forth. Yeah, again, Rob and I had known each other. We had done the podcast together. We had each other's phone numbers and texted each other and had a great time. And they wanted us to sign this NDA, and Rob kind of made this big deal about it. He said, "Look, I don't mind signing your NDA, but you've got it's like a year or 2 years exclusivity contract, right? Like you basically what it says is you can't go and do another TV show or work for another studio for a full year because we've got you kind of locked into this timeline." I had nothing going on in my life, so I was like, yeah, whatever. Nothing like this ever comes up for me, but apparently it happens to Rob all the time because he said, look, I can't do that. I'll sign one for a month, but I'm talking to other people. And ultimately they said, fine, they altered his contract. And we did like a little test screening where, him and I actually have a picture of it. I cannot find it. I sneakily took a picture of the interview process with me, Rob, and this producer. And they recorded us kind of talking to each other back and forth. And the premise is that Rob would be the, kind of wild, wacky guy. And he would, do Rob. It would just be Rob. It would just be himself. And then I would be me. I'd just be me. And I'd be kind of the straight guy that they would play off of and kind of, make embarrassed or do funny things or whatever. And then Rob would be the wacky guy that would say something funny. And then, they'd cut to me like, oh my God, did he really say that? That kind of, shtick, we two guys playing off each other. Because my humor tends to be, a little bit more subtle sometimes, little double and triple entendres. And Rob's is, kind of more wacky and kind of, a little bit bigger. And then they sent it in. And they said, Eric, hey, they called me and said, hey, they've made it to the final two. There's between two guys, you and one other pair of people we've put together for this show. Just kind of cross your fingers. And then a month goes by, didn't hear anything about it. I'm at this point in my life, I'm talking to my work and said, look, I'm pretty sure I can't do work and this. And they said, yeah, you got to pick one or the other. And I said, look, if I get it, I have to pursue this and I have to kind of see where it goes because why not, right? You got to kind of see where this stuff goes. Maybe it'll lead to something really cool. The pay was abysmal. They said, basically, look, you're not going to get paid for the first, season of it. And if it gets picked up again, then that's when that's when the money starts flowing a little bit. But the production costs, getting people there and, the recording company and getting all the videographers and stuff, eats up a lot of the money. So in the beginning, you're not going to make a lot of money, but if it gets picked up for, 2 or 3 seasons, that's when you start making some money and you start doing some appearance deals and yada, yada. And that's where the money comes in, but you got to do the first one first. Okay. I could swing that. So, long story short, I said, yes, let's do it. And it kind of comes to the end, and they kind of said, look, they said no. They thought you and Rob were funny together, but they didn't the combination of a lot of things, and it just didn't work. Well, 4 weeks later, after that, I get a phone call from Rob, "Hey, buddy, how you doing?" I'm like, "Hey, Rob, what's going on?" You know, my phone's ringing. It's Rob. Again, I love Rob. He's a good dude. And I pick up the phone, and he's like, "Hey, can't tell anybody, super secret, but I'm gonna do a show for Netflix." And I was like, "Not okay." First off, screw you, buddy. We were supposed to do this together. And second off, amazing. Like, good for you. Like, I was really, really happy for him. He told me the premise of the show, what was going to happen. They were going to go do these things. They were going to do that thing. And then, I was really happy for him. I congratulated him. And then he went off and did the show. No hard feelings. Super happy for him. Again, this is Rob. He's living life at 1,000 miles an hour, and it worked out. And then he calls me about 6 weeks later. "Eric, you won't understand what happened. This guy, this happened, and then this happened." And then, he named a few names, and he said, "So and so is on a plane back home, and they fired this person, they fired that person. There was a big this and a big to do with this on set, and all this stuff." And then he just shared all these crazy stories of behind the scenes of the Tex-Mex show, what became the Tex-Mex show, and it was kind of fun to hear because when the show came out and that I could see some of the players he was talking about, it all kind of came to life for me. So that was that was absolutely amazing, and so I was honestly truly happy for him. He introduced me to his watch guy, so we kind of talked watches for a bit, and we talked cars, and ultimately Rob was he was just one of those guys that if you just talk to him for 30 seconds, you felt like you were lifelong friends. He was just that kind of way. He was upbeat. He was always funny. He was living life, at 1,000 miles an hour, and it was just hard not to be friends with somebody like that. He was just one of the coolest dudes, and really bummed. Really bummed. I've had a number of friends and family members in the past 6 months or so who have passed away. So it's kind of a few folks recently. So this one was hard because Rob was always really good, and we had a long running pool thing where he thinks he's really good at pool, and so do I, and kind of running gag is, "You owe me a pool match, buddy." And we were supposed to gamble, and we were gonna gamble for beers or whatever, nothing crazy, but he talked big, and thought he was always like, "Well, Eric, I'm a pretty good pool shark myself," and okay. I play pool at a fairly okay level most days, and so anyway, I guess I'm most bummed that I won't get to have that pool match with you, Rob. So yeah, that's a real bummer. I know we had talked about that for a really long time. Your schedules and my schedule didn't really line up a lot. I was in town where you were sometimes, and then you were gone, and that didn't work out. So yeah, I'm sorry, Rob. I'm sorry we didn't ever get that pool match. We promised it to each other for a very long time. I probably would have won, but yeah. Sorry, buddy. Anyway, I'm just gonna miss you, Rob. You're a cool dude, and the world's a little less bright today. So, anyway, that's my one final Rob story that nobody knows about. All right, see you guys.